Hello and welcome to the Daily Lawyer podcast. My name is Jana Krishnan. I'm your host and also the founder of the Daily Lawyer. And today is yet another episode in our Daily Stories series. So, this is a series where we invite business owners to come on the podcast and speak about their journeys in business. And since this is a sort of lawyer and law podcast, this is also a place where we can talk to them about how they handle their legalities, what are the issues that they faced, what are some of the things that they would like to see to make their life easier when it comes to this one domain. And in that, today I'm so happy to have my next guest. She is a very dynamic entrepreneur. I'm speaking about Miss Akanksha Sureka, the founder of Flying Elephant Designs. Akanksha is a graphic designer, illustrator, founder of this holistic design agency. And what I love about the way they don't call themselves an agency, they call themselves an ecosystem of creativity, which I think is so cool and such a different way of seeing your business and the offerings that you have to make to the world. So like I said, Flying Elephant Designs is not an agency. It calls itself an ecosystem of creativity, complete with young and enthusiastic designers, marketers, campaign and social media experts, and storytellers. Akanksha established Flying Elephant Designs in 2016 as a homegrown stationery brand. But then from there, she has grown from 1 to 100 plus clients, and she has, added so many offerings from stationery to now being almost a full service, complete design and communication studio that she is today in 5 years, or now 7 years. So Akanksha, it's so impressive what you've done. And I'm so happy to welcome you to the Daily Lawyer. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Jenna. Thank you for calling me on your show. And thank you for this introduction. Everything that you said, I mean, I'm hearing all of it together for the first time myself about
Very
us.
good. I'm happy.
A
It
little
always
overwhelmed.
seems fancy when somebody tells us, like when we are actually doing the work, we don't realize how much
Yeah.
we do. So I think you should take this moment to pat yourself on the back.
A little overwhelming.
I know. I can imagine. So Akanksha, like I said, this is a series, and you know that this is a series where when we invite business owners to speak about their journeys in business, how are they here today, and also we'll touch upon your problems with legalities, etc., as we go along in the podcast. But for those who know nothing about you, can you briefly explain what is it that you do for a living? What is your company called? Where are you located? Tell us about your journey.
Right. So, hi everyone. I'm Akanksha Sureka, and I started this company called Flying Elephant Designs about 6 years back. Like Jenna said, we started as a stationery studio, stationery company. It was always my dream to have like a whole hole in the wall kind of a stationery shop. That's where I started my entrepreneurial journey. But now, since 2019, we've moved our business model, and we are now only a full service agency. So I work as a brand strategist. I consult brands, and what my team does is that we work extensively with SMEs, with corporates, and with independent brand owners on building and transforming their business into how they can call it a brand. We do a lot of packaging design work. That is also one of our fortes. And and then apart from that, like you said, it's an ecosystem, right? So my team is equipped to deal with any kind of marketing and communication related problem. So our approach is also solution based. When our clients come to us, most often they come to us with a brief. There's always a problem that we are looking to solve visually and through the right stories and using content and words. So
It's
that's
so lovely. You said so many things, and there are some things that I want to sort of understand myself and maybe simplify for the rest. Like you said that you spoke about branding and about brand design, brand strategy. So can you, if you have to break it down a little bit, when you say brand design, like is it only for, I don't know, some like product based, or branding is for everybody? Like, what do you mean by that for somebody who knows nothing about?
right. So branding is essentially for everyone. There are different stages and how elaborately do you want to work on your company? So see, everyone runs a business, like, right? Entrepreneurs in sense or solopreneurs, there's a business that you're running. You're either doing it by yourself or you're doing it with your team. And then there's a third element involved, which is your target audience, the customers who are buying it. So you brand yourself, which is your personal brand, how you are positioning yourself as an expert or as a person who's selling the product. Then there's your team or the product that is attached to you, which is an extension to your brand. And then there's a third element, which is how are your customers perceiving you. So all of this, it's an ecosystem. So they all come together. They can work independently also. But if you see like a bigger company, like a Coke or a Starbucks, or even like a mid-sized company, uh, these things are connected, and then we build a story around all of these three elements, and we put them together, connect them together, and it says the same story. So you as a person, as a founder, are talking about something in a particular way, in a particular language, in a particular tone. Your product or service is also talking like that. So from a service perspective, what it would essentially mean is, if I'm sending out a credentials document about my company, right? So that has to match the way I conduct myself. And also the team, when they are communicating with the clients, that sort of ethos has to match together. And then when the customer is or when a client is seeing that document or talking to us or seeing our work outside, they should be able to reconnect, like connect all of those dots together and say that, yeah, this is what belongs to Flying Elephant Designs or a Daily Lawyer, right? So now when you sent me say a document, or you've sent me an invite, you've got your branding in place. So I know this authentically comes from the Daily Lawyer, and it's not just any other lawyer.
So it's basically like a personality that we are creating, which identifies us as who we are individually, like you as Flying Elephant, me as Daily Lawyer, and whoever works with
Right.
us, etc., for the outside world.
Right. And it's much more extensive, and there's a product involved, because as soon as there's a product involved, there's packaging involved. And there's so many more touch points you can work on to establish that brand, right? So whether it's on e-commerce, whether it's like on physical product, whether it's as simple as a tag that's on, like you may be selling a handkerchief, but there's a label on the handkerchief. So with products, it just becomes slightly more easier also, and a lot more touch points to communicate that brand.
That's true. So when you say SMEs, you're like, who are the clients, or who are the people who will be probably coming to you? Is it only people, or even like somebody like me, let's say, okay, people like me can come who have a service sort
Absolutely,
of anyone,
absolutely.
like who are the people who can sort of come to you?
Right. So someone like you, like we were talking just before this recording started, someone who's uh I'm working with someone who's a fine jewelry consultant, someone who's been a wedding photographer for 10 years, and she wanted to revamp her complete branding, and she's quite famous in the wedding photography industry. So either you're a service, or you're a product, or you're a legacy brand. You've been around for, like, your business has been around for say 30, 40 years, two generations back, but now and that's a lot, that's a category or industry we are working with a lot, where the younger generation has taken over the business, and now they feel the need to transform, to refine their current business, to make it more relevant to the current times and to the digital media. So yeah, like I said, if you have a service, you have a product, or you're a legacy company, you've been around for the longest time, but now want to relook at how you're talking to the consumers, we work with all these clients.
Oh, that's lovely. So now I know that I know that you have a very impressive roster of clients, because I know some of your clients. What would you say? And you've been running Flying Elephant Designs for now
6 years.
7 years. Yeah, 6-7 years. You have a big team. I know that as well. So what would you say are your top 3 priority items as a business owner?
So I very recently learned it the hard way that an accountant, a lawyer,
oh God,
and an HR three things that you cannot work with
Yes.
if you're running a company.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling with, I mean, but I also know as a person who's like started and who's managing all of this alone, it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
But it's, I think if you have like 5 rupees to spare from your entire marketing, from a 10 rupee marketing budget, I would say spend that 5 rupees.
Thank you, Akanksha. Call me after the recording because I remember a conversation 6 months ago.
I'm
But,
still there. I haven't
oh
moved
dear.
forward on.
But okay, we should talk offline on this. But anyway, I totally agree. And I think I'm going to take this 5 rupees thing and post it everywhere, because out of a 10 rupee marketing budget, spend 5 rupees and get it,
Not
start.
marketing, like 10
Yeah,
rupees of
10
your
budget.
entire business budget to spend 5 rupees on these three
Yeah,
things.
yeah. So those are your top 3 priority items, and I can't agree more. I'm so happy to hear that. In terms of now, of course, there's an obvious offshoot of that, because we did discuss about documentation about 6 months ago. So in terms of documentation, what is your sort of view? How are you managing right now, and what are some of the challenges that you faced? Maybe.
So, because we started, it was just me who was managing. I mean, it's still me who's managing it. But so I took documentation for granted because most of the time we are working with founders, right? You end up talking to them every day. So there's a
Yeah.
personal rapport that you build, and then you take documentation for granted, or you're like too overwhelmed, or you don't want to
Yeah.
create that awkward conversation about an agreement or about just putting things down on paper. But so now I have realized, irrespective, family, friends, whatever it is, one, do not start without an advance. Especially if you're in a service-based industry, because time is money for us, and we can keep working, but if we're not paid for it, then we're not really
Yeah.
doing anything about our business. That's one. Who, irrespective of whomever you're working with, get an agreement in place. I'm still struggling to get that in place. Whether it's like one of the biggest companies, because usually what happens is with the bigger corporate companies, you have to get yourself registered as a vendor, and that process is usually longer. And more often than not, these companies come to a smaller agency when they are, like in a last minute requirement thing. And then I mean, if depending on how your work is, you'll obviously end up doing a lot more work with them. But get an agreement in place, or get an advance, or get like an approval on email, any kind of formal documentation. WhatsApp is not a formal document, or has no value in those terms. But get something in written before you start working. I think that's
Yeah, I can't stress on this enough, and I'm really happy that you spoke about this. One other thing that you can possibly do is also have terms. So I mean, we can talk about those things. But one thing you said was, you're a bit hesitant to start the awkward conversation. So why do you think it's awkward to speak? I mean, I know like that is the reason why I started the Daily Lawyer, because I thought that people don't. I was living under a rock, when you're doing this all day in and day out, you don't realize the perception that people have.
right.
So, but why is it awkward? Like, have you had experiences where you've lost clients because you've said contract
So,
banana hai?
no, I haven't. Touch wood. Uh, but so, to be honest, the clients that I've been working with for like 4+ years, I still don't have an agreement in place for them, because they are almost like an extension of
Yeah.
what we are as a company, right? So I've still not had that conversation with them.
So do you feel somewhere that you're eroding your trust, because like you're like yeah.
And then the conversations are so organic and natural, and I mean, most of them, we never really had a problem as such, right? So then for me, I'm like, why do I want to start this new conversation with people whom I already have a relationship with? But the newer clients, I have made sure uh, that there is some official documentation, a certain amount of advance is issued before we start. I feel as we scale up also and as we've grown, me as me as a owner also have realized friends, family, relationships is all great, but these awkward conversations are important because I've burnt my fingers in terms of I've lost money where like you're like really close, you become close and you start meeting socially also, or you because you've worked with the company for a long time, but I've burnt money. So like I rather, it's okay if I don't have that client, but I rather have this conversation
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And surprisingly they've accepted that.
Yeah.
Like okay.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was going to say, that the awkwardness is actually in us because we are very worried that we look like we don't trust a person. But I think we have to truly change the perspective, because it's not that I don't trust you. It's just that I value our relationship so much that I don't want any disputes to come between us. Like that's the whole
Wow,
reason.
I'm gonna say that next time.
That's actually the entire purpose of why we have contracts, right? Because we don't want ambiguity creates. So my ex-boss used to say that assumption is the mother of all fuck up. And I'm sorry, I'm not sorry to say that, but whatever. So, and he used to keep repeating that because when I started and I was with this company for almost a decade. So when I started, I was quite like naive and new to the world of in-house work. I was coming from a law firm background, so I didn't know many things and all, and I used to assume that things used to happen in a company the way it used to happen in the law firm.
Right.
And I learned this the hard way, that assumption is the mother of all fuck ups, and that's how we would keep saying. And then after that we started telling our team, like our the teams that we were serving, that the reason why we are doing this is so that there are no assumptions, so that you are not so that we are clear about our obligations, your obligations.
Funny because we follow this when we are actually working, right? Like if you're working on a
Yeah.
branding project, there is a questionnaire, there are those
Yeah.
conversations about everything else.
Yeah.
but this.
Because the minute you think about documentation, you think, oh my god, he's gonna think that I don't trust him or her, whatever. Because we have this totally negative bias when it comes to anything to do with the law. But essentially, what is it? It's just our agreement.
Protecting ourselves also.
That's it. Protecting our relationship also.
Right.
And so anyway, I hope next time, not just you, but anybody else who's listening, if they feel this way, then this, and one simple thing to do to, like, if you don't, because contracts may not be the answer for everybody and it happens. One thing to do is to just have terms, like, terms and conditions which are available for public viewing on your website or whatever. At least that is there and at every touch point with you and the client. So, that is one option.
Good.
Yeah, that's an option I've suggested to so many clients in the last 1 year. I can't tell you, because
that is a good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk to you about after we finish recording, and I'll talk to you about it again. But then I thought, since we are on the topic, might as well, maybe there's somebody listening for whom it will be useful. So, you can have lawyers draft your terms for you. And then that's it. One time you draft it, it's there at various touch points that you have.
Right. And I think like the 6 months back when we had the conversation, we also had a conversation about the team and the documentation with the team as well.
Yeah.
I've still not done that though.
So,
reason.
Same reason. But again, same reason for you to do it also.
Absolutely.
Because they have clarity. You come across looking a lot more professional, like, especially for the youngsters.
And the youngsters, they want this.
Yeah.
I think it's just about like
our own
clear on what's the intent of the document. There is all that awkwardness and ambiguity and everything gets out.
Yeah. So I was doing like recently, I told you we got delayed recording because I was busy. There was a call that ran over because there's a group of people who are coming together to hopefully start something. I don't know what's happening to that, but So they were like how you are, they know each other, but they're not like very close friends or anything. Some of them know each other better, some of them know each other through these people and all that. So they were like, and one of them is a friend of mine. So she said, can we just have a conversation, like just talk, because like how we were speaking, I've been talking to her and boring her about all these things, how we have to change the perspective and all. So today was one of those meetings where the first meeting that we had was why we need to come together and have a co-founders document or whatever, because we know
Right.
what each other is doing. So anyway, with that, it went into a bit of a tangent as we spoke, but never mind. Okay, because you spoke about like you burnt your fingers, you said I burnt my fingers. Can you sort of describe any instance that you probably suffered some loss, if you can, that is, because you either you did not have the correct documentation, or you had not sort of thought of your risks, let's say.
So yeah, so burned my fingers. I'll talk about this particular case study, but the funny part is that I did have my documentation in place for this. I don't know how detailed it is, honestly, because I haven't like really gone and consulted a lawyer. But we did have an agreement in place. It was a long-term retainer project, but for 9 months, everything went really well. And then the last 2-3 months, the founders absconded. And a lot of people have not been paid for, their due.
Acha.
We did have an agreement in place. I did have everything else on email. There was, all the
Yeah.
voices, etc. But for me, the struggle has been, what do I do with this? Right. So now I have all this proof. Connected with my CA connected me with somebody who like specializes in getting the money back. And we filed an MSME court complaint. But then again, then what? It's been 2 years now. Then what?
Yeah, I know.
That's one, and the other one is actually a classic case of what we are discussing. I got introduced to another agency, a person through a cousin of mine, known him for a really long time. We got on really well and, started work with zero documentation, like zero. There's no communication on email as well. Like, we just started work and we did work for 6 months. There's no payment, like, and the billing was from him to the client, right? And this is also another big shot client involved, like a really big company involved. So their billing processes are very different, which I still don't have any idea about. I'm trying to learn how to work on that. So now I'm in a space where I'm like, all I can do is just follow up with him. And we're still friends.
Yeah.
But I'm like, eventually if he goes away, or if there's no communication, or the conversation just like fizzles out, or I stop following up, that it's done, like that money is gone. So it's like zero. So I think these two incidences for me made me realize I should have an agreement in place, irrespective of, whoever I'm working with and whatever it is. It may be a really small job, but there has to be something on email, which is like a legal or like a proper document.
Something that you can use to show your side of the story. In terms of what next, right? That is a difficulty. Like, what next? Because the current state maybe of our legal system is such that judicial delay is a reality. And the way it is, the judicial delay is to a point where we probably feel that, should we even file anything in the court?
It's frustrating.
Yeah, it is. Of course, it's extremely frustrating. There are other ways, also legal ways. I'm not saying illegal ways that we can manage. But for all that, I mean, so if you have all the proof, it just makes it easier, because you can have 4-5 options that you can pursue with different.
But tell me, just like the fact that there are emails or there are WhatsApp conversations, and then like work has gone out from your official email inbox, is that proof enough or not?
Of course, why not?
Okay.
See, like, proof is like this. Okay, the concept of proof when it comes to law is I have to prove my side, you have to prove your side. Whosever proof is better, whosever proof is more convincing, then there are degrees. Like it has to be beyond reasonable doubt, it has to be beyond preponderance of possibilities, and so on. So, whosever proof is more convincing is the story that is accepted. So, there is
Got it.
not like enough proof, and
Yeah.
So,
But just get a document in place. I think
just get documents, not one, documents
all your
in place.
documents.
Yeah, because like things like terms, so these are a bunch of different things. You can have a policy, you can have terms, you can have
Right.
disclaimer, and these are things that you can put at various touch points that you only have, like in your email signature, in your website, in your Instagram bio. Like there are so many places that you can put these
Absolutely.
things that technically show that, listen, if a person wanted to read, I have given like 1,000 places where they could potentially read. It's not that they don't know on what terms I'm
Right.
working on, right? At least you have that argument to.
But I'll tell you, agreed. I'll tell you one of my struggles in terms of agreements, why I haven't been able to nail it correctly is because we have so many services, right? And every service has a different if and but. So then
I had this conversation with another graphic designer yesterday. And one of the things is that, see, ultimately, the terms on which you work are the same. As in, whether you're working for Jenna or you're working for X, Y, whatever, you will work on your terms. So your basic agreement should have your terms. Like I will work on, let's say you just said about advance. You said, whatever. Or how many turnarounds maybe that is okay with all that. So wo to common hoega hi. In a few cases, you'll have, yes, like for branding and maybe different packaging and maybe different, I don't know. You have annexures now. You just have a list which is for, and then you have annexures, and then I don't even know whether we should put all this in the podcast or take it out. I'm not sure. But
send it to me irrespective.
So, but anyway, let's see if it helps anyone. Just because we are plugging it in, I can't even plug it in. I'll get into trouble. So, but
No, but really, it's a struggle.
It's a struggle, yes. I know.
I've been procrastinating on it now because it's just so much to think about.
But you don't need to do the thinking now. What are we for? We are supposed to do the thinking. You're just supposed to say, Ki, Jana, these are my problems. Find a solution, and
Problems भी लिखने पड़ेंगे ना.
नहीं वो आप बोल दो WhatsApp का just send a WhatsApp voice note and we will handle it. No, but anyway, that's basically our job as all of us, not just me, our entire community. That's our job to figure out solutions to problems. So anyway, with that said, I'm really liking the direction of this interview because this is the first time we've spoken about all of these things, and it's very relatable to me. So I hope it's relatable to everybody else in the
To me,
listening. Yeah.
I feel like I'm finally able to talk.
Yeah.
Everything done.
No, but I'm so happy that you are like being so open and honest with all your challenges. Honestly, Akanksha, if I were a listener, I am a listener in a sense, but if I were a listener and not a lawyer and a business owner, I would find so many of the things you said so relatable. And at the same time, I'd be like, yeah, I also need a solution to this, So thank you.
Find me people who need solutions to this, and then we can all like sit together and find
let's do. Chal. Let's do.
I'm serious.
Yeah. Let's do. We'll talk after. So tell me, what has been your biggest challenge when it comes to lawyers or getting legal help?
To be honest, I haven't gone looking for a lawyer. One in my head, okay, because I come from a business family and a Marwadi family and a really big family. I've always overheard lawyers, etc., as a part of an extended conversation. But those conversations have always been really high level. Those are like not relevant to me as an individual. I don't know if I'd spoken to you about this. So my sister-in-law's sister,
you said she's a lawyer,
right?
Yeah.
So I have seen her right from her first year of law college to now. right? So beach mein when I needed anything, like she was a call away, like Kritika, I need this, and what do we do? And very nicely she would draft everything and give me, and then she'll ask me questions. So whatever little help I've always needed, she's been a call away. But apart from that, the only other lawyer that is at like a relatable wavelength is you. I've not
Wow.
known anyone.
Okay, fine. See, this is also a very honest answer that I've never needed to seek out a lawyer, never sought them out. So I don't know. So that's pretty good. At the
Yeah,
same
from
time, you
a
have
work
someone.
perspective. Yeah,
Huh.
from a work perspective, I've never, like, she was always a call away. And then
Yeah.
for me, I've seen very few women in the family really doing, like, full-fledged
Hmm.
business. Men, of
Hmm.
course, are doing, and everyone's doing work as a passion, right? So when she was studying, like for me, I kept telling her, you're going to be like the first lawyer of Flying Elephant Designs, who always,
How sweet.
So
Yeah.
for me, that was like
Yeah.
all away,
Yeah.
do everything that I need to do, because it was really basic
Yeah.
also. Now with time, I started to realize really things need to streamline, and she's helped me. And then the only other person, like I said, I know you, so I've not gone out looking. Also, for me in general, whomever I'm working with, I need to have like a really open conversation, because otherwise then again there's awkwardness of a different type, because
Correct.
then you can't really tell openly this is working, not working, right,
Correct.
wrong, whatever,
Correct.
So yeah, so that's been not my struggle, I don't know, but I'm happy with these two people
Yeah.
doing in my life. I don't
No, but
want to
you,
go looking for more
how
people.
sweet. But you have, like, it's not as if you've like done started flying elephants and you're running flying elephants without even talking to somebody. You do have a lawyer in your
No,
family.
I
But
spoke to
she's
her much later,
much
like
later.
4 years into
Oh,
this
Bapre.
business.
Okay, never mind. I'm glad you spoke to her finally.
That's why the burnt fingers. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, but the minute that realization happened, I started talking, but it was
yeah.
much later.
Good, but at least you did. So I'm proud of you that you at least did it. What would you say are some of the biggest mistakes that business owners make in maybe starting, maybe running their business, whatever? What would you say are, let's say you have to give three mistakes?
Taking documentation for granted, um, take not having a good accountant, and like I said earlier, so uh, it's very, your team is really important. If you have
Hmm.
a team, also as a person who's running a business, right? You maybe whatever size of business you are running, get help, because you cannot do, it's humanly impossible to do everything, right? So you are good if there are 10 things that you have to do, you're amazing at 8 things, but you're not good at 2 things, get help for those 2 things, or
Very
vice
well put.
versa.
Yeah, sure.
uh, and if it's a team that you're building, for me, I think the team comes before the clients, right? Because if the team's not there, then they're representing you as well, right? So if you have a team, keep them motivated, work towards their growth, and your business will automatically grow. But if I have to bring, like, cut short the conversation and say 3 things: documentation, get everything on email, get an accountant, don't compromise on a CA, and ask for help
Good.
or get help.
Really nice ones. Um, I was okay. I think you've already answered this. If I had to ask you, then this is sort of the last question to wrap up this segment of ours. If I have to ask you, based on your sort of experience with documentation, legalities, lawyers, whatever, if there's anything that you would want to see in the world that would probably make your life easier in this aspect of getting your documentation, etc., make it easier for you, what would you think? What would you say? There's any like service or product or anything?
It's really imaginative,
Yeah.
but like mix of chat GPT and something that exactly can think how you think as a person,
I'm
and can
almost
take
afraid.
voice commands.
Oh, बाप रे. This is like सब lawyers को सबको काम से निकाल दो. एक AI को बिठा दो बस.
No, then it can be a person also,
It
but
can be a person, yeah, sure, but yes.
but if I can just like have a real, like spill out my thoughts without filtering, and then that person knows what to
Yeah,
put down, that will be the awesomest thing to do.
yeah.
Very
There
random, but yeah.
No, not random. I mean, it's good, right? Even for us as lawyers, for us, it's good feedback because we imagine if we can morph ourselves into humans who can just, and we technically we are supposed to do that. We're supposed to just take whatever you say, like churn it, put it in a document, but then obviously give you advice about whether, because sometimes what you may say may not be
A
practical.
lot of times also. I can imagine you all get that, right?
Yeah, all the
We
time.
get that a lot in our
Yeah, yeah.
business.
Like, I want this only, I want that only, I want to work with this person only. I mean, like, you are not living in utopia,
Yeah.
so what to do?
No, I think just the service industry is difficult.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a lot.
that's true. It's you're dealing more with people's psychology than actually the work that you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course.
So this wraps up our legal part of the conversation. The second half of the podcast, I do it because I love it. I do it for myself. It's called 5 4 3 2 1, where I ask you 5 of something, 4 of something, 3 of something, like that. Okay. So first, 5 productivity tips that you want to give. You can also include apps or whatever, huh? Whatever you want. 5 productivity tips.
Start your day early. Like
Early means what? Now we up now early and non other people's early are different. I'm just saying.
start your day by 5:30.
Huh.
If you
AM.
can.
Say that also.
AM, 5:30 AM. Sorry, yeah. 5:30 AM if you
Huh.
can. नहीं तो 7 बजे तक तो, but start your
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
as early as possible.
Yeah.
Um, use a good management tool.
Like,
Have a tool. So you can use Asana, you can use Outlook by Microsoft, like the entire ecosystem of Outlook, or if you're on Gmail, whatever, or Notion, Slack, whatever works for you. But use a good management tool, especially if you have a team, because then you can overview everything at a glance. Write your to-do notes, like take some time in the morning, put down your notes or put down your to-do list, write it on a piece of paper. The satisfaction to cancel things is just another level. I think take a nap in the afternoon for 20 minutes if you can, if you are the sorts, because uh, I feel for me that does really well for
yeah.
productivity. Sort of like resets your day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also ask for help from a productivity perspective also, right? Like if you
Yeah.
feel that if it's a lot on your plate, reach out to somebody, and as long as things getting work is done or getting done, that's the priority. So ask for help.
Nice. I agree with all 5 of what you said. I think I don't know the that tools that you said, no, that Outlook or whatever. I don't know use any of that, but I should. Like, I'm trying to learn Notion. I'm not doing a very good job of it, but
Asana is really easy. If you
Acha.
want to, yeah, Notion, I feel is like a little, it's very open as such. So, if you're used to structure, then you'll be like, क्या चल रहा है Asana में?
Okay.
So, sorry, क्या चल रहा है Notion में? But Asana is really structured, and it's got a free version also. So don't need to really start investing in it as well.
Acha. Let me try. May do some R&D during my holiday. I'm going for a holiday, so I'll sit
Oh,
there and
nice.
do some R&D. Okay, 4 books that
Oh,
that you
it
would
has to
recommend.
be like business book,
No, man, whatever you like.
I think. Because I'm a very moody reader.
Whatever you like. You
So
can say romance and all that also.
the 5 a.m. club.
Huh.
That's really good. The nudge, very good from a consumer psychology perspective. If you're
Oh,
like
wow. I
into
haven't.
service design or service in general, that book is amazing. It has amazing nuances of how you can connect with your customer and, have small prompts to nudge the customer to get or to sell or to
Wow.
buy. Really good book.
Lovely. Huh.
Then I like The Becoming by Michelle Obama and Harry Potter, like all time.
Yes. I think
If
about it so many times, man. Like really, like I read it, I don't know, like whatever, 96, 7, whenever it came. And then we were part of the generation where would wait outside bookstores to for the
yeah, to
next
get the book.
book. And I feel so sorry for the kids today that they have all the 7 books because they have not had the pleasure of waiting. But yeah, in fact, the Daily Lawyer also is inspired by the Daily Prophet.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, now I can connect them.
So anyway, we can speak about Potter. We can speak about Harry Potter. I'm sure we can do a lot of talking on that. Okay, three tips that you would give youngsters, young graduates, or maybe somebody who's even in the field that you are a student. What are some of the tips that you would give youngsters? I mean, not that we are old, but people younger than us. Sorry.
Um, I think just work hard. There is really no substitute for working hard. And I feel that's something that I'm seeing lacking in anybody who comes to work with us because
And to like try
there
not to say anything.
dude, there is no like, I mean,
Yeah, man. Seriously.
it's good to have a personal life and of course like mental health wellness. I'm really all in for it, but when it's time to work hard, just work hard. There are very few years, like to work where you can really give 200% of what you're doing. So work hard. um Again, ask. If you're unsure, do not assume, just go up and ask because you'll be surprised how much people are ready to help.
Yeah.
um and assumptions, like, I agree with that because I feel that's something I've noticed a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's so much available information and knowledge available, there's also that many
Yes.
assumptions
Correct.
in
Very true.
everything. So do not assume and just ask.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then just ask.
I like what you say. I like all that you said, especially about the first part, which is I think there are some absolutely wonderful things about the Gen Z. They speak their mind, they're not afraid. Like they actually send you messages like, I am free to talk now.
Yeah.
Because
Oh
you're
my
like,
God,
excuse
yeah.
me, when I was a junior, you're not going to tell your boss I'm free. Neither will your boss ask you, are you free? You bloody well answer, otherwise you're going to get it. And now they're
And
like,
I would also, I think the last one more thing I'd add is money will follow. So do not like
yes,
if you're young, spend that time. And if you have the privilege to not work for just earning money,
yeah,
explore and learn as much as you can. Give
yeah.
that priority over earning a certain amount because money will always come.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point because a lot of us, a lot of people, we get so caught up in these metrics, like I have to be so much by so much and so much by so much, that we don't see the long term. We're not playing the long game.
Yeah.
Correct. Very true. So on that note, 2 life lessons that you have learned so far in life through
True.
your experience, through just living life.
So, may sound very philosophical, but this too shall pass.
Yeah.
I learned this again a very hard way, but since then I've realized it just like the minute you start being in the present and you realize your biggest problem is literally just not going to be there the next minute. So that was a life lesson that I've learned. And the other thing is, uh, when I think about in 2020, we were rebooting Flying Elephant Designs and, making some changes in the company structure. When I started networking, that's when I really started networking. As a very shy introvert person, I think going up to somebody and talking was just like unimaginable for me.
Wow.
But uh, work made me do that, and I realized people uh, really love helping you. So if do not like I've learned this line, Pooch, Tata Sky had this tagline, Pooch Dala to life jinga lala. So 10 out of 9 times, there's always, if I have asked for help or if I've asked for, advice or just like from a work perspective, also reached out, uh, people have always been very receptive or even, or like helpful. So yeah, so reach out to people. There's no harm in doing
Yeah.
that. The worst that's going to happen is they're going to say a no, and
Yeah.
that's going to be your learning.
Yeah.
Then maybe then you can continue that conversation and understand why it was a no,
Yeah.
or that that is not the right person to ask, and then you move on to the next person who may be the right person, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Correct.
people are
People are,
really
yeah,
very,
more people are good than they are not good.
also men, like I
Yeah.
feel that's been my learning, like men are much more helpful than women in general in the business aspect of
Yeah.
it. From a business aspect of it, from a community aspect, of course, women building women up and all of that, that's been really great, but men are really helpful from a really business aspect of it.
Hmm. Very interesting. And final question is, what is the best advice that you have received ever? One piece of advice.
One piece of advice. Um, so my grandfather, he's 90 years, he's almost 90 now.
Wow.
And he just recently completed he did a master's from MIT
Wow.
online. So, and then he's like the most updated person on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. And we were recently having a conversation, and
He did his
uh,
master's in what? So, sorry, I just wanted to know.
I don't know the exact terms, but they run a family business. They manufacture research chemicals. So, something to do with organizational management.
Okay. Wow.
And then they had to submit a paper at the end of the year. It was like a year-long course. We were recently having a conversation, and he was telling me just never stop learning.
Wow.
Uh, it may be anything that you're learning, right? It may not necessarily be about your career or family, whatever, but just keep learning, whether it's a tool, whether it's just something that you're reading, but just keep learning forever.
Yeah. And imagine coming from a person who's almost 90 and at this age did a master's in, you know, a field that is,
He's more proficient in social media than my parents. So imagine like
wow.
how much of learning he's doing on an everyday level.
Wow. And is he here in Bombay or?
Yeah, absolutely, in Bombay.
Very good. Yeah. Awesome. It's very inspiring. I can imagine why you would say that is the best advice you've ever received. And hopefully we'll all sort of remember to follow that. Akanksha, is there anything that you want to tell the audience which I have not specifically asked you?
No, thank you for having me.
Most welcome.
This was like my first podcast ever.
Yay, thank you. I'm happy.
I had fun.
Yes,
I was a little nervous in the beginning, but I had fun.
I'm glad.
So yeah, thank you for having me on. I don't have anything, but I think I've spoken a lot today.
Yeah, but it was very like chill. I really felt like we were sitting over coffee and just chilling and talking about our, you know, businesses and life and, things like that. It was really chill and it was very, I would say, a very relatable conversation for everybody. So I'm really happy that, we touched about all of these points. So thank you so much for making time. And I'm sorry we started late.
No
This is the
problem.
first podcast that I've started late. I must say, I'm always before time, but this is the first time I've been late. So I'm really sorry.
No problem. I hope it brings some luck.
Yes. Acha, let's hope. Thank you so much, Akanksha. See you soon.
Thank you, Jenna. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.